I tend to want to agree with Saka here that because of poor time management, let's focus on that's the issue really.
Okay.
Because
that
of poor time management, I will put the number of voters who were accredited using the polling units I visited, the number of voters who were accredited who ended up not voting. Make a note of that, not voting to about 10%. If we consider that as negligible, okay, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I would rest my case. But I think that's a huge number.
But the thing is, we do have a mechanism for checking, because it's not. We're not even talking about people who registered but didn't show up.
No,
if it is indeed true that people got accredited and they didn't vote, INEC should be able to give us those numbers, and then we can have that conversation. In my polling booth, for example, you won't believe it, we had 100% accreditation and voting. It was amazing. You know, we were surprised
because
that, you know, of everybody who was accredited, went away, came back and voted. And I stood till right to the end, till after the voting. So it is possible that my unit is not representative. I agree, because we didn't have card reader problems, we didn't have all of that. But what I'm saying is that we should be able to say to INEC, tell us of the people who were accredited, how many actually stayed behind to vote. And if indeed these numbers are as high as 10%, then it is a substantial number. And then we should, you know, be having, but we don't know that. These are all anecdotal.
I know,
this is anecdotal evidence.
But then again,
something needs to be explained to you.
But then again, I'm sorry, that's the whole point of having observers, right?
Yes.
That's the whole point of having independent persons who are monitoring, because how quickly are we going to turn this around and get to INEC to give us numbers and so on?
No, but you're sending reports, aren't you?
To even, see, that's the point. So to even commence the conversation, I give you my own polling unit and about 2 or 3 others. My own polling unit, by the time we finished accreditation, we had 875 people, right? By the time we did the voting, not more than 700 people voted, maybe 720. That's why I put it at about 10%, right? Shangotedo today, right? I know that, well, that one was even a different case because they lost the whole day because nothing happened yesterday. And when I spoke with a couple of people there, said, listen, we were like over 1,000 people here yesterday, but today there were 200 plus. So for me, if the point we're trying to make here is that better time management and putting things in order would have increased the numbers and ensure that more people participate in the process, yeah, definitely something that needs to be looked at closely.
And I accept that totally.
Yeah.
I accept that. What I'm saying is, I'm not sure that what we should be saying is that there has been a material impact, and that I use that word, you know, very carefully. It's about whether what has happened has had enough impact for us to say that the total conduct of the election has been affected by what has happened. That is the only point I'm seeking to make. I'm not justifying the lateness. I think it's not acceptable. I am not saying there's no room for improvement. There certainly is. And I'm not saying that, in fact, people should not be able to, if they feel this is something serious, be able to make formalized complaints to INEC. They should. And the numbers should be looked at. And where there is going to be a material difference to the outcome of the elections as a result of these failings, then INEC has a responsibility to actually look at those very seriously and do something about it. But I'm talking overall.
And in that case, I think there's a thin line. Sorry, Charles. In that case, I think there's a thin line in where for those who could not vote because of the issues that were just raised, that how do they feel, even if it does not materially affect the overall conduct of the elections?
I'm sure they don't feel good.
How do they feel because they were disenfranchised and they couldn't vote because maybe someone had a medical condition, maybe somebody was too tired, maybe somebody couldn't go the whole hog like everybody else and wait till 10 p.m. at night.
But they were given a chance to vote again. So you see, the thing is, if at the end of all these problems, what had happened?
Well,
that is not correct.
We may be taking into consideration, you know, the feelings of every single individual, because I mean, it's the fundamental right of every Nigerian to vote and be voted for. Well, in some cases, they may have been deprived of this right. But then,
does it deprive them of the right, Kadira? I think that's the thing.
No, and again, let me please say this. I am not suggesting that it is okay for INEC not to allow people who want to vote and who are eligible to vote. But I am saying that there are no elections anywhere in the world where you get 100% turnout of registered voters, where everything that is supposed to go right goes right. And therefore, what I am saying is about whether these things that have taken place are going to have a material impact on the outcome and the credibility of the elections. That is all I'm saying. Well, I'm not suggesting people shouldn't be upset and shouldn't complain.
Let me come in. It will not affect the credibility of the polls, right? But it will have it has a material impact
on the outcome.
On the outcome. And let me explain it. I think let me just give me a minute or two to explain this. You see, we are not saying the people that ended up voting, were not qualified to vote. Genuine people voted, and I can tell you the result on its own is credible. Because all the lacunas were blocked. And let's just take an example. Let's assume out of the 50+ million, right, that INEC had, as list of registered voters, let's assume probably just 10 million voted. What I can tell you is the 10 million that voted were credible people, right? And the result that will come out, or the results coming out now, are credible results. But what we are saying, the issues of fighting, the issues of anxiety started because of INEC's mismanagement of the time. Because when many places, INEC went there from probably 11 or 12. Before they finished the accreditation, it was already getting to dusk. That was what happened, right? And unfortunately, I cannot explain why INEC said people should go, get accredited, and go back to their respective houses. Honestly, I would have wished that people will get accredited, vote, and leave.
I think, if I may answer that, I think because we had that conversation yesterday, this is conjecture, I'm thinking aloud here that INEC wanted to make a clear demarcation between the accreditation process and the voting process so as not to fall into that dangerous territory of electronic voting, if you know what I mean. I think, because we had that conversation, because you're quite correct, that process of accreditation, the bifurcation of the accreditation and the voting process definitely lengthened the time, and we lost a number of people who could have stayed on.
I mean, the town hall that I had with Jega, again, that question was raised, and his answer was exactly like yours. They try to learn from every election. And in the case of, I think, the 2011 elections, apparently their experience was that because in Nigeria the issues are always about credibility, about protecting the integrity of the votes and all that, they keep trying to do things that they feel are going to make it that much harder for people to manipulate votes, and in their view, staggering this thing so that you first did the accreditation followed by the voting was the best way to do it. I am not convinced myself that that is necessarily the right thing to do.
It will be interesting to know why there are so many instances, this mismanagement of time that you brought up, why it happened across
that is it. Well, there was a vague story I heard about the National Union of Road Transport Workers getting the contract to distribute material, and then something went wrong with that. And I haven't verified that story. I don't know if it is true, but that is what I heard. But that INEC decided that, to do this well, and they needed basically people whose job it is to move things around, and that fell apart.